We'll start with the feet out nice and wide, and we're going to fold through the hips, reaching for the floor, and then gently raising one arm up toward the ceiling, pushing the floor away with the other arm, bringing it back to center and switching. So you want to alternate sides. Take your time and making sure that you're turning your shoulder and not just winging your arm back. From here, we're going to heel toe the feet so they're about hip width apart. And then you're going to sink the hips down into a nice deep squat sit, using your elbows to push those knees apart. And when you're ready, you're going to start driving through the ankles a little bit more. So you're going to bring the hands forward, barely lifting the heels off the floor. You're going to windshield wiper the knees so you're driving through the corners of the foot, making sure to keep the heel pressing down even though the foot's not flat. And just kind of work your way through this warm-up for the ankles. From here, we're going to reach forward with the hands, and we're going to place the knees down on the floor, but keeping the feet on the toes, and then sitting back on the heels so you're getting a nice deep stretch through the bottoms of the feet. And then reaching forward and switching your foot position so you're on the tops of your feet. And from here, you're going to lift one knee at a time, just really getting a nice deep stretch through the shin and the top of the foot. Taking your time, and then shifting forward and tucking those toes under for a bottom foot stretch. And one more time, we're going to reach forward, switch the position of the foot, and then lifting one knee at a time, getting a nice deep stretch through the shin and the tops of the feet. From here, we're going to switch to a nice low runner's lunge. So one foot forward, the other one way back. And we're going to do some ankle drills. So we're going to go wide with the knee, then straight through the center, and then bringing it inward, all the while you're driving through that ankle. So keeping the foot nice and flat, making sure that you're pressing through the ball of the foot as well. Taking your time, finding where you need it the most. We're going to send that front leg back and switch it out. So the other leg comes forward, nice low runner's lunge. So you're getting a stretch through the hip flexor. And then we're going to focus more on that front ankle. So that front knee is going to drive forward in 3 different positions: out wide, down the center, and then inward. And you'll just keep working through these 3 positions until you feel like you have a nice warm ankle. Sending that foot back, we'll go into a nice down dog, and we're going to pedal through the feet, continuing with that stretch through the calves and the shins and the bottoms of the feet. And then we'll go into a split down dog. Now you can raise one leg into a split down dog and then bend that leg and open up the hips so you're kind of hooking that leg behind you, pushing through those arms, really opening up that side. And from here, you're going to shift forward, and that same leg is going to get into a pigeon position. So just bent in front and taking your time and settling into this hip stretch. Just breathe into it. And then from here, we're going to drop that back leg and get into a 90-90, and then folding forward to deepen that hip stretch, and then taking your time and reaching back. So now we're getting an internal rotation through that back leg. Reaching forward for the hip stretch in the front, and then back for an internal hip stretch for that back leg. And now we're gonna keep our posture up nice and tall, and we're gonna focus on pulling that back foot up. So rotating it up, really exaggerating that internal rotation of that back leg. So just doing about 10 reps. You should feel this in your glutes. From here, we'll bring the hands forward and then get our legs back into that down dog position. Just pedaling out the feet, taking your time, really driving the floor away with that upper body, sinking the head through the shoulders. And then raising your other leg, hooking it behind you, opening up that hip, really pushing back through your shoulders, letting that top leg get heavy. And when you're ready, that same leg is going to shift forward as you shift your shoulders forward and then into that pigeon pose. So really taking your time, you can kind of noodle through the hips a little bit here, whatever you feel like you need. Taking nice deep breaths. And when you're ready, you'll settle the hips down and then bend that back leg so you're in a 90-90 position. And you're going to fold forward over that front leg, getting more of a hip stretch. And then gently leaning back, really opening up through that hip from the back leg. And then one more time forward. And we're going to go one more time back for that internal rotation. And then positioning yourself with a nice tall posture. You're going to rotate that back leg so you're lifting the foot off the floor and essentially giving your hip a nice internal rotation, which is one of the best ways to keep your hips healthy. So just breathe through it, take your time, nice and slow and controlled, about 10 times, making sure that you're feeling it in the glutes. From here, we're gonna get into a nice flat position on the floor. So lying on your stomach, we're gonna go into a long swim and a push-up. So pushing your body up as a plank and then threading one leg through and then the other leg through, lowering down as a plank, reaching the arms up overhead, swimming the arms around, tucking under the shoulders, lifting with your core first, and then threading those legs. Nice integrity here, leaning down with the chest, reaching the arms up, swimming around, reaching for the hips, and then placing the hands under the shoulders. Nice strong push-up, and then 2 leg threads. And we'll repeat this a few more times. Whenever you're ready here, you're gonna get into a child's pose, reaching the arms out nice and long, and then taking your time and taking your right hand, placing it on the left and really driving through that right shoulder, and then switching sides. So you just wanna take your time, whatever you feel like you need, sitting the hips way back, a gentle tug on that shoulder. Bringing it back to center, and we're gonna shift forward into a cobra pose. So keeping the legs nice and active, and then we're gonna kick those hips up into a down dog, and then shifting forward into that cobra pose. So your quads should be nice and firm here, nice and strong, making sure you're not dumping into that low back. So big stretch through the front, and then gently shifting into that down dog position with a big reach in the hips. Reaching it forward again, sending it back into the down dog, jumping the feet forward, and then taking your time, coming up nice and slow.